What's good, guys? It's your boy DeMarcus J, and today I'm back with another video. Today we have something new in store. We are going to be doing a Best Ball Mania fantasy football draft for the upcoming season. If you guys don't know what Underdog is, it is a sports book. You can do different wagers on here, as well as you can pick fantasy football teams. The one we're getting into now is the Best Ball Mania. That's their largest large field tournament, with over 677,000 entrants. The winner gets $3 million, and there is a $15 million prize pool. So if you guys do not know anything about Underdog, I will have information in the description. And if you guys want to join and maybe get some drafts together later, I have that link in the description as well. Without further ado, guys, let's get into this. Draft just filled up, and we will be picking at number 5 here. I love Underdog drafts, you guys. I've been getting to a ton of them so far this year. And one thing about these Underdog drafts that you need to know is the wide receivers get pushed up. Because in Underdog, every week, you'll be starting 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, and a flex position. So just with you starting more wide receivers each week, they get pushed up a lot in these drafts. So if I am you, or if you start drafting on Underdog Fantasy, one of my tips, make sure you grab wide receivers early, because by the time you get to the later rounds, you can find good running back values. But after round 7, I'm really not excited about drafting any wide receivers. Of course, first 2 picks off the board are Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. That's no surprise there. At this point, I'm just hoping that one of Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, or Stephon Diggs make it back to me. I'm not really looking at a guy like Christian McCaffrey unless he makes it to pick 7 or 8 when he drops past these elite level wide receivers. And then that's great right there. Christian McCaffrey and Cooper Kupp both off the board. This is an easy decision for me. I'm going to go ahead and grab Tyreek Hill. I am not going to think too hard about it. Tyreek Hill is a guy you will see a lot of times. He goes top 3 right behind Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Then it's usually Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp in these drafts. However, Tyreek Hill has been dropping a tad bit due to the legal issues and everything that we've been hearing about. However, from what I'm hearing, I don't think we're in trouble of Tyreek missing any time during the regular season. I could always be wrong. I am not too informed on the situation, but I did do a little bit of research, and like I said, from everything I have been reading and seeing, I am not seeing anything on where Tyreek may miss significant time, or any time to that matter, for the season. So if we can get him at 5, I'm taking him 9 times out of 10 here at 5. Only players I would draft before Tyreek Hill in these Underdog drafts are Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I do have him and Cooper Kupp ranked pretty similarly. I have been taking Tyreek Hill a little bit more, just due to the fact that he will be on a better offense. As opposed to Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is going to get the volume. But if we run into a situation like we did last year, where he gets the smallest of injuries, they're probably going to sit him down, and he's probably going to be done for the season. The Rams are only projected to have, their over-under is 6.5 wins for the season. So they are not projected to be a playoff team. So with Cooper Kupp coming back from injury, Matthew Stafford coming back from injury, I think there's just a few more question marks around Cooper Kupp. And when picking these best ball drafts, I do want to make sure we are prioritizing, making sure we have the highest ceiling week by week. Alright, just looking at the board here, and I also pulled up my phone here so you guys can see the draft positions. Alright, now we're just looking at the board here. We have guys, like I said, these wide receivers just get pushed up in these drafts. So probably going to be hoping a guy makes it around to me. That's going to be my initial thought here, picking later in the second round. CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith. That's actually a pretty interesting pick here. This team 11 starts out with both CD and Devontae Smith. This is probably the earliest I have seen him drafted. He picked Devontae Smith over guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jalen Waddle. Like I said, that's a very interesting pick indeed. But he will have a pretty unique selection here. And now with me coming up, I am going to start looking over who I'm going to pick here. I did go ahead. I went with Saquon Barkley here. Saquon Barkley is a guy that you're probably going to be getting in the first round of your redraft leagues. So to get him in the late second round, he has failed significantly since the start of these drafts, where he was going later first round or at that 1-2 turn for sure. However, with the recent news of him possibly holding out in the contract situation, he's not signing the tag. He has failed a bit in these drafts, but I think he's going to play. I am more confident in Saquon playing this next season than I would be with a guy like Josh Jacobs. At the end of the day, however, I do think we see both of those guys on the field. But if that is something you're worried about, I personally would not be worrying about it. I'm actually taking this time to get these guys on more of my teams and, get a little bit more of them. I was a bit underweight, I know, originally on Saquon when he was going at that 1-2 turn. Because if I had a pick 11 or 12, I probably would do like these teams here. I would try to get double wide receivers straight off the bat, and then look at getting a running back here in the third round. Because like I said, I keep saying it, guys, but yeah, you just got to get your wide receivers early, because they're just going to get pushed back up in these drafts. As you can see, this guy takes DK Metcalf at pick number 27. There go Calvin Ridley at pick number 28. And then here at pick 29, it's pretty easy for me. I'm going to go ahead and go with Jalen Hurts here. Getting the elite level QB in round 3. I was not taking these QBs early on in the year when you had to pick them at the 1-2 turn or even middle of the second round. I will, however, take them at the 2-3 turn. Guys like Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes here. Josh Allen has been falling a lot in drafts. That is a stack that I usually look to get if I am able to get Stephon Diggs. But if I'm not, like I said, Jalen Hurts is my QB1 with Patrick Mahomes a little bit behind him. And then Josh Allen is my QB3. So anytime I get a chance to get Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes at this pick number 29 here where I'm at, I'm going to take them 9 times out of 10. Plus, like I said, I'm kind of off of the wide receivers here in the round 3. You have guys like DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, as well as Amari Cooper. All of these guys could have a really big ceiling, but I don't think their floors are as high as people are expecting. DK Metcalf, I actually think we could see him with a strong start to the season, but I am a Jackson Smith-Njigba believer, and I do believe with his profile and his elite presence, he's gonna be garnering targets later in the year, and that's of course gonna take away from DK Metcalf. Um, I would not draft DK Metcalf here in the third round. He would have to drop into the fourth round for me even think about selecting him here. Calvin Ridley, I think we really might be seeing another Deshaun Watson situation from last year. I do think Calvin Ridley is still a good football player. Don't get me wrong about it. But you have to think, we have not seen this guy play basketball in... I'm sorry, we have not seen this guy play football here in over a year and a half. So do we think he's still going to be the same elite caliber player that he was when we last saw him on the field? That is most definitely a possibility, but football is a game of athleticism, and the older you get, the more out of your prime you get, and they have other wide receivers, other mouths to feed. I do feel like Jacksonville has a potential to be a top 5 offense, but I'd rather take that wide receiver 2 in round 5 opposed to a Calvin Ridley in round 3. At this point, I'm basically looking at a wide receiver here. I was really hoping Amari Cooper would have failed to us here. This guy gets a really good start out the gate with Stephon Diggs, Chubb, Josh Allen, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper has been a guy that's been taken usually around the 3-4 turn, mainly in round 3. So just getting him to make it this far, you're going to have a pretty unique build. And if I could have got him for my wide receiver 2 here, I would have been ecstatic. However, it was basically between DeAndre Hopkins and Drake London at this point. Once Amari Cooper unfortunately was selected there. Now, I know we don't know where DeAndre Hopkins will be playing at next season, but I do think DeAndre Hopkins is still an elite talent, and I don't think we will have any issues no matter where he goes. The only team that really, I guess, would scare me from drafting him at this position, late 4th round, would be if he was to go to the Carolina Panthers. Now, I do love Bryce Young, but he is a rookie QB, so I do think we have to be a little bit realistic in what the season may hold for the rookie quarterback. And even if he were to get an elite option like DeAndre Hopkins, I'm just not sure what his ceiling would be in that offense. Drake London is a guy I really like taking here at the 4-5 turn. I'm a big believer in Drake London as well. I just have to see a little bit more, and I know they got Bijan, but Atlanta has been a team that wants to run a lot. They want to lead the league in rushing. So I just ended up going with the guy I believe that will have a higher upside. This is a guy that still, now it is unlikely, but he still could end up on the team like the Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills. So like I said, I just think DeAndre Hopkins has a much wider variety of fantasy output, if that makes sense, than where I think we are pretty limited on what we could get on a week-to-week basis with Drake London. We kind of know where he's at and what he can give us. Like I said, DeAndre Hopkins just has so many outcomes. Like if he goes to Buffalo, he can give us something different. Even if he were to go to the Patriots, which I actually wouldn't mind him at the Patriots. I think that would be a guaranteed 10 to 12 targets a game in another low throwing offense. But if you look at what they have over there in New England, I don't see any way he doesn't just come in and be the guy there. Here I am, I'm just looking at this team here. Okay. Yeah, this team got Antonio Gibson, guys, in the 5th round. I'm sorry, I was just really confused there. I had to go back and see what Antonio Gibson's ADP is. Antonio Gibson is a guy that I like a lot, but reaching on him, this is like 4 rounds ahead of his ADP. It just kind of does not make any sense to me. And this team was actually off to a pretty alright start with Kels, Waddle, Joe Burrow, DJ Moore. But then, like I said, I'm not sure if they were kind of like a misdraft or what may have happened. But yeah, they just got Antonio Gibson, who's not even, or he has not been named the starting running back for Washington. He just got a backup running back here in the 5th round for what is projected to be a pretty bad offense. Like I said, that I don't really understand that there. But we'll see what they do on the way back around here. And I do know I haven't talked about Christian Kirk here. I did end up going Christian Kirk. And we actually just talked about this when we talked about Calvin Ridley. I would rather take Christian Kirk 2 rounds after Calvin Ridley than taking Calvin Ridley in the 3rd. I just think it's so much more value you can get than Calvin Ridley. Now, Calvin Ridley does have the potential where he could be a league winner if he does live up to that draft position. But like I said, I just find it hard to believe that he's going to finish up to that draft position. Like I said, he's getting drafted ahead of guys like Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Mark Andrews, Breece Hall. And I would personally rather have any of those options over him. Christian Kirk was the number 1 wide receiver last year in Jacksonville. So he already has 1 year of chemistry with the quarterback. So I think you give him just more time with Trevor Lawrence. I just think Trevor Lawrence, this is going to be a guy Trevor Lawrence knows he could trust, especially in those late game moments. Not saying he's not going to get that with Calvin Ridley, but this is just something he already has with Christian Kirk. So, like I said, I don't mind taking him in the 5th round, especially when you look at some of the guys he's getting drafted around. I'm not a big fan of Tyler Lockett there. Brandon Ayuk, I do really like. This is another one where I would rather take Brandon Ayuk than his wide receiver counterpart. I'd rather take Brandon Ayuk in the 5th than Deebo Samuel in the 3rd. Like I said, if you look at my exposure on both DK, Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, I'm probably very underweight on those guys. But I just can't pick them in the 3rd round with it just being so much more value on the board. Now, here, we did go J.K. Dobbins with our 6th round pick. I did think long and hard between getting him and Miles Sanders. I do think those guys are very comparable. But I went ahead and went J.K. Dobbins. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty pissed off here. The guy right before us snipes Dallas Goedert. Without an Eagle on the roster, I was for sure we would be able to get Dallas Goedert with our pick in the 7th round and pair him up with Jalen Hurts. But unfortunately, that was not the case. This guy, I do know even when I don't have Jalen Hurts led teams, when Dallas Goedert drops to the 7th round, he's usually a guy I'm looking at getting. Especially, it depends on how late into the 7th he goes, because after Goddard, I do really think we see a fall in the tier of tight ends. I think next up we'll have it'll be New York's tight end, and I'm not sold on him. He's been hurt the past few years, so I'm not sure what we could actually expect, for a per game standpoint. We'll have to get him back in there, see how he looks in that New York offense. Again, another offense that is not very pass heavy. I am thinking he'll be the number 1 receiving option in their offense. But like I said, I'm not sure how excited you could be week by week with him as being your tight end 1. I go ahead. I went George Pickens as well in round 7. I'm sure you guys have seen by now. And as we say that, Darren Waller does go ahead get taken off the board. I went George Pickens. George Pickens now is my 4th wide receiver. I went ahead and went George Pickens because, like I said, in these next few rounds here, 8 through 11, I'm not really liking any of the value we have with any of the wide receivers. So I did want to go ahead and lock up my wide receiver 4 before we get into these dead ranges for the wide receivers. There is a lot of great running back value coming up. So I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get a good running back here. One of our guys did just go off the board there, and Rashad White. And we actually had David Montgomery. He's a guy I really, really like drafting, especially late in the 8th round, or even if he falls to me in the 9th round. However, I'm not reaching on him and getting him in the 7th there, like this team number 7 right there, who went ahead, got David Montgomery, and then they got Isaiah Pacheco here. I just went back up. I just wanted to see what their team was looking like here. Team before me got Javonte. So now I'm at the point where I think I am going to get a running back. The decision was pretty hard because, like I said, these are not guys I am usually looking to get in this area. Like I said, my main 8-round target has been David Montgomery. But just with him getting drafted, I did go James Conner. It was basically between James Conner and Dalvin Cook. James Conner, I think he's been very disrespected. James Conner, only thing that concerns me are the injuries. James Conner has not played a full season, and no telling how long. He always misses a few games every season. You can basically pencil him into missing a few games there. Dalvin Cook, I am a little bit more skeptical with taking over a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. Because like I said, I think DeAndre Hopkins can go to any number of teams and still be a wide receiver 1. But some of these teams that Dalvin Cook is talking about going to, or some of them that he has been rumored to be going to, I don't want any parts with a Dalvin Cook if he's going to New England or if he's going to the New York Jets. Those teams both have running backs who I think are both better than Dalvin Cook at this day and time. So I don't really want Dalvin Cook going there, especially I have not gotten a lot of Ramondre Stevenson to this point. But if I was a Ramondre Stevenson owner, I wouldn't know what to do with myself if Dalvin Cook was to go there as well. And we did go Tua Tagovailoa. We do go Tua here, and we're going to pair him with our number 1 draft pick, Tyreek Hill here. So now I think I have 2 pretty good quarterbacks. I can see both of these quarterbacks. Each of them, I can see them both finishing top 10 week by week. Tua, of course, his only thing would be staying healthy. But I think as long as Tua is on the field, I think Tua is a top 10 quarterback option. Usually I would try to wait to see if Tua would have made it back to me at round 10. But just with all the quarterbacks going off the board, especially like Kirk Cousins, Anthony Richardson went off the board right there before Tua. Personally, I am not taking neither one of those quarterbacks. I'm not even taking Dak over Tua. Tua has been a guy I've been targeting late in these drafts in rounds 9 or 10. In some of my drafts where I go 0 quarterback through the first 6 or 7 rounds, Tua is a guy I would look at as being my quarterback 1, and I would be completely fine if Tua was your first quarterback that you drafted off the board. Like I said, of course, the health situations are always in the back of your mind, but I feel like you can get 2 guys who are in an even amount of span. Like I know some teams I have gotten Tua and Dak. I did Tua and Anthony Richardson. I did Tua and Kirk Cousins. There's just a lot of good quarterbacks in this area. And like I said, I don't think there's any problem with having Tua as your quarterback. One, he has some of the best offensive weapons in the league between Waddle and Hill. And speaking of Dalvin Cook, I know we speaking about Dalvin Cook a while ago. I do want to just throw this in. My preferred landing spot for Dalvin Cook would be the Miami Dolphins. Like I was saying, the difference between Dalvin and Hopkins. Hopkins can go to almost any team and be a wide receiver one. I don't think there's that many teams where if DeAndre Hopkins would go to, he would be the wide receiver two. I just see more options where if Dalvin Cook were to go somewhere, where he would be a running back two over a running back one. Miami is the best situation in my opinion. I do think if he goes to Miami, he will be the clear running back one there with the guys they have, and I would actually love that because I do not have any of Devon A-Chain, Raheem Mostert. I don't have any of these guys, so I'm kind of banking on them getting a guy like Dalvin Cook. I think he can really just transform that Miami offense. Now here, what I was going to do is I was going to get a tight end here. I was actually looking at getting Pat Freiermuth here, but he was again taking the pick right before ours. I do feel like there's been a recurring thing in this draft. These are guys that I am usually getting in these ranges, but today we have just not been able to get these guys. But that's perfectly fine, because one thing, when you're doing so many of these underdog drafts, you do need to make sure you change it up, where one injury is not going to derail your whole team. So what I do here, I really, like I said, I don't like any of the wide receivers in this range. I didn't want any parts with Odell, Sky Moore, or a Romeo Dobbs. I'm not really high on any of those guys. I guess Odell probably, if I would have had to take a wide receiver there, he probably would be who I would take. But on the turnaround here, I'm just looking to see what we're maybe thinking about here. Because I did go Khalil Herbert. I took Khalil Herbert solely to get us another running back. I usually get Khalil Herbert in the 11th round here. But how this draft had been going so far, this team at 4, they most likely would have gotten Khalil Herbert instead. But we're out of that. I would say the wide receiver dead range here, starting back at round 11. These are a few wide receivers who I could see, being the wide receiver 2 in their offense or having a lot of upside. So I do go Jacoby Myers, just with the uncertainty and everything there in Vegas. I know, of course, they have Devontae Adams, but Devontae Adams has been vocal about not being happy in that situation there. Not saying he's going to request for a trade or anything like that, but I do think Jacoby Myers is a great value to have, especially when we're able to pick him up here in the 11th round. Like I said, he's going behind some guys, wide receivers 3s, like Romeo Dobbs. That's a wide receiver 3 in Green Bay, in my opinion. And you have him going in the 10th round. And like I said, I found it best to just kind of stay away from these wide receivers drafted in that 8 to 10 range. And like I said, you can pick up your wide receivers early, and then you can get you some nice upside guys, young wide receivers with a lot of upside a little bit later in the draft. And as you can see, it looks like we do have a few more running backs and everything going off the board here. And like I said, that's just kind of what I was thinking there, and why I went Khalil Herbert in round 10. I just wanted to make sure we went ahead and got him. I do think Khalil Herbert will be the running back 1 in Chicago. Now, of course, Chicago, I'm not thinking that's going to be a great offense or anything like that. But they do like to run the ball. And I do think Khalil Herbert will be getting a majority of the carries. If I could see anything on how that backfield would be split up, I would say maybe 50% Khalil Herbert with maybe a 25% for both Roshan and the other running back that they end up picking up from the Panthers there. So they are just in a three-headed backfield situation. And if I were to get any of them, like I said, I would want it to be Khalil Herbert. I think we've seen glimpses of what he could do as a running back 1. I think this might be the first season where we get to see him head his own backfield. At least that's what I'm hoping for, of course, when I draft him in round 10. But he is only my running back 3. Yep, he's my running back 3. And like I said, I don't have... I'm sorry, my running back 4 there. But like I said, I don't have any problem with getting him here. And I kind of just wanted to make sure I get another running back that I'm comfortable with, especially after missing out on a round 8 David Montgomery. Alright, guys. What I'm thinking about doing now is getting a tight end on the way back around. Pretty easy decision. Dalton Kincaid is somebody, I'm just not a fan of drafting rookie tight ends. He may end up being a top 5 wide receiver. They're in a great offense. They're in Buffalo. And like I said, does have a lot of potential. But just historically, those tight ends that, their first year tight ends, they don't historically do well in terms of fantasy. So I'm not really looking forward to getting any of those guys. I'll pass on him. And I was able to get the Tennessee Titans tight end. So I was happy about that. Now what I'm looking at on the way around, I am thinking about another tight end as well already, just to strengthen up the position. This is something I do. I wouldn't necessarily call it a bully tight end strategy. But once I get my first tight end, if I'm not getting my first tight end until round 12, I am kind of looking for another tight end in that area, in hopes where we can maybe get a week or two of, maybe he finishes top 10 one week, and then my next tight end, hopefully he can finish top 10 next week. And if you can get a top 10 tight end every week, you will be in a pretty good spot. The tight end numbers are just so volatile, so whenever I miss out on those top guys, like if I'm not able to get a Travis Kelce, a Mark Andrews, I'm usually waiting a little bit later in these drafts. Just looking over this team here, he has a pretty interesting team there. That's the Kelce owner as well. And I actually went ahead. I got Alec Pierce here in the 13th round. I just kept looking, and I didn't think any of those tight ends were going to be that big of a difference, or I would be just disappointed if they didn't make it to me on the way back around. I was looking at the board with these tight ends. I honestly think we can get one making it back around to us, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Here I'm just looking at a few of the teams. I'm just trying to remember how they started to kind of see what they may be doing a little bit later in these drafts. Because if a team started with a 4 wide receivers straight off, they're most likely going to be getting these late in running backs and things. And then also, you guys, I did just want to let you guys know and make sure you guys know that I will only be doing up until our 15th pick in this draft. Our round 15 pick, that is. And if you guys do want to see more of these drafts, be sure to let me know. And I can show you guys the full length of the draft and everything like that. But at this time, I will just be doing the first 15 rounds or so. I don't want to bore you guys with the remaining picks and everything like that. So like I said, if that is something that you guys are looking forward to and want to see more of, just let me know. And like I said, I will make the time. And I will record all the way up until the 18th round. But like I said, this video will just be rounds 1 through 15. So it's going to be showing you just the how I started out. But I will let you guys know for most of the picks for rounds 16, 17, 18. What I'm going to be doing, I usually try to take a guy with a higher ceiling. So I'm usually taking younger guys. If any rookies or something are available, I'm taking handcuffs, things of that nature. Guys who are in the right situation, you can see these guys turning into wide receiver ones. Like I'm going to use Tajay Spears. I know he's been one I've been drafting a little bit more of. Just with Derrick Henry getting up there in age and everything, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility where we see a Derrick Henry injury. Me being I'll be at a lot of Titans games this year, so I am not hoping for that. But say Derrick Henry were to go down and I get a Tajay Spears in the 15th, 16th round here. He will have the potential to be, a league winner later in the year, especially like with the Titans. They play the Houston Texans at least one time in the fantasy football playoffs, and we've seen what Derrick Henry has been doing to the Houston Texans for the last few years. So like I said, those are the things I think about in those last 3 rounds there. And if you guys ever do want to see more of these drafts, let me know in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe as well. They'll let me know that you guys really do like the content. Without further ado, I'll just go over my last 2 picks here. I did go ahead. I went Tyler Higbee. I really do like Tyler Higbee. I think outside of Cooper Kupp, I don't really think there's a second guy who's going to be commanding targets. And I think Matthew Stafford, we saw him, Higbee, in a few games without Cooper Kupp last year, and he looked really good. So I'm going to go ahead, take a chance on Higbee here as my tight end 2. Like I said, I'm just looking for a little bit of upside and where he could possibly be the Matthew Stafford's second favorite pass catcher over there with the Rams. I don't think that's out of the possibilities. And then in round 15 here, we went Isaiah Hodgins. Isaiah Hodgins, this is another guy, like I said, upside. We don't really know what's going on with that New York wide receiver room. So I would take these guys in the late round in hopes of hopefully finding their wide receiver 1. So that is why I took Hodgins. And like I said, that is going to conclude this video for today. So if you guys do have any questions, concerns, or comments, please list them down below. And then, like I said, if you guys are interested in getting these fantasy football drafts, also let me know that down below. Because like I said, we can do more of these. I know we've been doing mainly basketball content to this point. But if we have guys who really want to see this fantasy football content, like I said, I will at least do 1 or 2 of these drafts per week, and I'll make sure we can get those uploaded. And if we get enough people who like them, we may even live stream a few. Other than that, guys, without further ado, be safe and have a good night. And see you guys next time.